Hello and welcome back to the next video. If you remember from last time, we were actually in the middle of a wave, fending off against against two defenders. We killed one. There's the pieces for it in the back there, and there was a second wave that had just started. It was already calculated, so they're in waiting, meaning as soon as this defender is killed, it'll zoom to that other one, and we'll have to take on that one as well. So we were at the point of actually wanting to build a new military armory to then build new defenders. This way we can help support that fight over there. So if we go into our build mode and see what does it take to build a military drone armory. Now if I look in here, military drone armory, a little question, I can see these are the pieces that are necessary. What I'm also going to do at the same time is because I am curious to see, and as you start progressing with larger pieces like the drone armory and especially things like thermal fusion, you're going to see how that one works. It's important to actually look in the industry mode and see through your mainframe depository, which builds all your pieces, all your depositories. You have your available power. Sorry, you have your power that it takes to build. The military drone armory takes 1569. It takes 1569 power. So, do you remember how much power one generator is? One generator, if I go into wire mode, highlight it, is 500. I have 3. So what does that mean having 3? It means I'll have 1500. That also means I'll be short. So, I'll actually need to build a fourth. I'll actually need to build a fourth generator. A fourth generator because 3 is not enough. And I don't have the R&D exchange depot to build the extension, which adds a little boost of power which would be enough. So instead we're going to do it this way. We're going to build a fourth generator. We're going to hook it up, and with that, we'll actually build our military unit depot. And we're going to do it all at the same time. We will build our generator. We will build our military drone armory, and we will also build one defender, which means we'll have 3 to help support the fight. We will do this all in a very short amount of time before that next wave comes, because we're at number cycle 30, and that new wave just hit. So we have 9 to 14 cycles before we do this. Of course, by building an armory, a new generator, and a defender, we will definitely up the threat. And we must be prepared. So we will have the tools necessary to build more. Don't necessarily want to build more defenders right away, but we will definitely be able and ready to. And with 4 generators, that's a lot of power for some pretty heavy things. And of course, 4 generators meaning 1 for foundry, 1 for elementary, for the elemental, 1 for assemble, the assembler, and 1 for our mainframe. And of course, with all that, we can mix and match if we have to add more power, like in the case of our military drone armory. So we are going to build 3 things. We're going to navigate to find them all at the same time. So a military drone armory, we're going to look for a new generator. So we're in our power utilities, generator units. So there it is again. That's what it takes to build the generator unit. And we'll also have 1 defender. So in the management mode, you see there are 2 defenders. We have a little question mark here. If you don't have the units and you want to know what it takes to build them, well, in our drone armory, it says it right at the bottom. Here they are: defender drone, war machine drone, and so on. So here it tells you what it takes to produce. So let's click on that. And there we go. So let's take on first, let's deal with our generator unit. What do we need for a generator unit? We need quite a bit here: alphoids, betoids, deltoids, epsiloid, zetoid, yttrium, and uretite. What do we have in our industry? We have alphoids, we have betoids, deltoids, we have 19, so we have enough. We will need more for the other elements though. Epsiloid is 19. Zetoid, we have 3, we need 5. Yttrinium and uretite. So uretite we have 13, yttrinium we have 3. We'll need more yttriniums for the other ones. For the other ones, we actually need Canine, not Uterinium. Defender also. We need Canine. So Uretite we just need for here, so we have enough. So really what we are missing here is two Zetoids. And it looks like that's it. We're missing two Zetoids. Let's see if we can find them. Now we're always on pause with this. Now they might be in this little mess here. So, while I'm looking, I'm going to have these defenders. Not defenders, sorry. I'm going to have the military unit. No, I'm going to have the utility drones gather all these pieces just to clean up this while I'm looking. So, what exactly am I looking for here? I'm looking for some Zetoids. Now, how am I going to find Zetoids in this mess here when I have some defenders out at the top waiting to strike? So what am I going to do with that? What I will do is actually I'm going to see if I can find an area, something like this perhaps, that is not exposed to the outside. That perhaps I have to dig a tunnel and it's a little cave. It is not exposed to the outside. So if I'm looking at this, actually you can see how it's closed off at the top. There's a slight hole there. So perhaps I'll have to block it off with a structure at some point. Otherwise that isn't access. But aside from that little hole, it looks pretty good. So we can use that hole to our advantage. And there's another, well, there's a few little areas here. There's another little hole over there I can see. So there's that hole. And so it might be somewhat exposed to the elements, but right now those defenders are taking on the units. Are taking on the drones, and this is pretty low to the ground, so I think that by digging and staying low, they are away from the fight, and the enemy recogs will not come to them. So I'm going to actually dig a little tunnel here, and I'm going to start excavating under here, because I can see some interesting things that I'm going to use. For one, this is our Canine. So we have Canine in here, which we definitely need for other elements, and if I look around, there it is. So I have Zetoid. Start getting familiar with these images and you'll be able to use them. You'll be able to spot what you need much faster. So I'm going to highlight this area here to excavate. I'm going to let that run. So there it is. It's turning blue, meaning the utility drones are going to come and get it. I'll switch to collect. Actually, what I'll do is I'll highlight some other pieces first. There's some Canines. I know I'm going to need Canines. So we can highlight our Canines. And let's unpause that. And of course, well, they have to get to it, right? So they are probably taking the long way around. What I originally wanted to do, and I didn't actually do that yet, is I need to dig a tunnel here. I had said that, so I will highlight to dig a tunnel. So they're actually making their way around. And if that's the case, I would like to see. So they're actually waiting. Alright, so they're waiting, so they're actually going in an opposite, in a direction I don't want them to. So in that case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to force their move. I'm going to force them back down here. So you see sometimes it happens where a unit will decide to go one way because I originally told it to dig at a certain place, but I forgot to make its hole. So you see, now I'm bringing them back down, away from the fight. There they go. So they're going to come in. They're going to do their thing now. So keep that in mind when you make an action. When you make an action, verify that they're actually going in the direction that you want them to. As I saw, they weren't actually coming. It turned blue, meaning it was actually active. They were just sort of waiting for the defenders to move, but the defenders are too busy fighting, so they weren't going to. And we had to find another way around. So I overrode their movement, and with that I was able to have them go a different path. So more Zetoids, let's grab them. I know I need quite a bit here. And don't forget you have your right click for the top view. Top view is very practical to grab everything you need. Moving up and down in terms of our levels here. Alright, there's another Zetoid down there, so let's grab that one. So I'm stockpiling on my Zetoids because I know I'm going to need them. Also, I'm stockpiling on my Sanines because I know I'm going to need those too. There's another Zetoid, another Zetoid, another Zetoid. Alright, I'm going to go right click. Alright, so there they are. Collect. Let's collect all this. And collect those. Great. I'm going to have a quick look at my industry mode and consult what I'm missing. So industry mode. C9, so Eutriniums, I have 3, and what did it say for Eutriniums? I needed 2 to make that. I needed 3 to make the armory, and I needed 1. So 3, 4, 5, 6, and I have 3. So I need a few more Eutriniums. Zetoids, there's 19, so there's quite a bit more. I'm going to need to make more, of course. I got to find a Eutrinium. There it is, the blue. Remember, it's in the blue. Let's go to excavate again. And don't forget about veins. As soon as you knock out one, as soon as you excavate one, there's a good chance that there are more. So there's some more Eutriniums. We're going to grab those. And let's pause, right click, and let's do our collect. Alright, so what's left here? Oh, there's a couple in the pile. There's one over there. There's some more Zetoids. We can grab those too. Oh, that one we actually will not be able to get because it's underneath. Let's excavate, collect. Oh, there you got those. Oops, collect. Alright, I'm basically highlighting everything there, cleaning it up. And according to our industry mode, there we have quite a bit now to work with, so we're going to do that. Now I'm going to keep an eye on the industry mode as I build more of my pieces. Let's get back to here, and we definitely have enough to start building our next generator. Alright, so we're going to start off with our foundry and our elemental. So I've actually closed off my my interface of the industry mode by clicking on this cancel button or pressing the number 4 key, just to clear up the interface and make it a little bit less overwhelming for you guys. I'm going to pull out menus a little at a time instead of one massive overview. Again, once you start getting more comfortable with it, then it'll be a little easier to manage that way. It's really up to you. Also, a little side note, now I'm actually at a different location, so if you happen to hear more noise than usual, perhaps a car or a dog barking, it's just a temporary change, but in a little while I'll be back to my usual location. So I apologize for that if it's a little too distracting. Okay, so we're going to queue our pieces from the Foundry Depot and the Elemental Depot. We do need to go back to industry mode just to bring up the windows. And we can actually go back to our cancel mode. So you see, it is possible to process our elements, binary agents and elements that are necessary without actually having to be in the industry mode. So that's fine if you want to clear up the windows a bit more. I will go back to build mode though, just to bring back my generator unit to queue the pieces. And 4 on the keyboard, and there we go. So there's a little bit less on the screen now. So let's start the process. P-trans panels, receptors, and collectors. receptor, collector, plates, energy field, circuit converter, we have our modulator, and we have our circuit protocol. If you remember, that is from our Foundry depot. Generator unit collector, we have our converter. And we have our collector, so let's add a second collector. OID frame. We have our high-grade OID frame and our OID bonding agent. Energy calibrator. Synthesizing protocols. Energy converter. And that takes care of our generator unit. Let's close that one. Build mode, and the next piece we were going to, the next construct was going to be our military armory, military drone armory. So let's bring that one up. 4 again. And let's go. So P-trans panel is the same things. We have receptors. Receptor times 2. Collector. A new collector. Depository blueprints. Power core and processor. Defense Armory AI, we have another processor. And the Defense Armory RECOG. The power for Defense Armory RECOG is 511, so we will need to branch a second generator to the Foundry in order for that to work. Remember, one generator is 500. Defense Armory launch bay, so we have launch bay mechanics. And defense flight protocols. Large OID composite frame, so we have one more high-grade OID. OID frame, there it is. Let's add a second one. And OID composite bonding agent. So OID composite bonding agent. There it is, and we need 3. So let's add 3 more. So there we go. So now our military drone armory is queued. Let's do the last one, our management mode defender drone. Let's see what it takes to build one of those. 4 to close. Drone defense system. We need our P-trans unit energy field. Our shield generator. Drone body. We need the body mold. The body mold. And Defender Systems Integrated Protocol. That's for the body. And lastly is the Defender Drone AI. So our drone processor unit. Defender Drone RECOG, so that is a Foundry piece. And that's it. So now we have everything queued, ready to go. So I can tell now there's quite a bit queued in here. There's actually quite a bit queued in here. And we're going to see we might have a little issue. So there actually is a good chance we're going to have an issue. I'm going to let it run to show you the issue, and we'll run through it together on how to correct the issue. So we're going to press play and watch the industry process. And first off, I can see these are hanging, and I did forget to reconnect the second wire to the generator, to the Foundry. So let's go into wire mode. You see the green line is not connected to our our foundry. So we need to make that happen. Generator. Let's change it to this. And now there you go. So there wasn't enough power. Now there was. So here we go. All the pieces are being processed. And it stops. Now, why does it stop? Well, you saw why it stopped over here. We didn't have enough power. But on the elemental side, we do have the power. So what else could go on here? The thing is, our storage containment unit has a maximum capacity. And we hit it. So we tried to process everything possible, but we hit the maximum capacity. So what can we do here? Well, either we make a new storage, and we relocate the content here to that new storage, which accepts only these components. So for example, we could add a new storage, attaching it to the assembly depot, and when we relocate this, they'll push them to that assembly depot. Or right away we start processing for example, the generator unit, and we'll see. So what might happen is that we might get some red because some of the pieces have not been processed, even though we're trying to push the next group. So we're going to do that. We're going to see what happens. Let's go into build mode and let's bring back our generator unit, because essentially that is what we're doing right away, the generator unit. And in order to produce the generator unit, we need these components. So we're going to have our assembly depot produce. We're going to have the assembly depot produce these pieces. And as these pieces get produced, it will free up the space in the storage. And this will start producing also. So let's make sure first off that we are connected. We do not have anything connected to it. So let's make sure that happens. Let's grab our generator unit. And since the foundry depot did produce those two heavier pieces, we don't need the second connection anymore. We can bring it right to the assembly depot. And in the industry mode, from the assembly depot, we are going to queue those pieces. So there's our panel, the protector plate, the circuit converter, the generator unit, collector, the small OID frame, and the energy calibrators. So if any of these turn red, it's because these were not processed yet to give this one enough. So we're going to unpause, and I'm going to pause it right away. You saw this was producing, and all of a sudden this started to produce again. So it was exactly that issue. There wasn't enough space in the storage. So there you go. So it did manage to produce every piece necessary for the generator unit, and it freed up some space to produce the rest of the elemental depot things. I'm going to pause again, and it managed, just by producing the generator unit, it did clear up all the queued pieces for the elemental depot, which means now I have everything ready for the next step, which is finishing off the assembly depot of the other two constructs. So that's the military drone armory and also our defender. So I'm going to leave the assembly depot open. I'm going to go into build mode. The unit has been taken care of. I'm going to go into depositories and the military drone armory. I'm going to see what it takes to build the components. So we have more P-trans panel. P-trans panel, depository blueprints, defense armory, AI, launch bay, and large OID composite frame. And we can even queue the pieces necessary for a defender drone right away. So that's the drone defense system, the drone body, and the drone AI. Let's unpause. Defense Armory AI. Defense Armory AI is 698 to produce. So as you can see, it hanged. So why did it hang? We go through the check. Is there enough space in the storage? Well, considering we just started, yes. The problem is there's not enough power. So we need to divert our power again. Since the Foundry depot is not being used anymore, let's grab it from the Foundry depot. And that means now there's 1,000 going into the assembly depot. Unpause. We have enough power. Perfect. So now we have all the pieces necessary to build our 3 constructs: the generator unit, the military drone armory, and the defender. So if you remember, we do need to build the generator unit first, and that comes out of our generator unit depot. So we're going to make sure that there's power in the generator unit depot. I'm going to grab it from, let's say, from the assembly depot, and we'll hook the power to our generator unit, the generator unit depot. Let's go into industry mode, generator unit, the depot, and let's click on this one. This one needs 435. Now it's available. If we unpause, and it's produced. It took a bit of time because the generator itself that was charging this one was too low, didn't have enough power yet. But there it went. It's produced, and now I can place it, attaching it near the mainframe depository to produce the military drone armory. So I'm going to go into build mode, power utilities. There's the generator unit. And I'm going to place it, actually, I'm going to place it right in front. And I'm going to show you why in a minute here. So I'm going to place it in front, unpause, and pause. Now, what normally do we need when we're using the generator? We need gathers. I didn't actually produce a new gather construct. So I have 4 generators and 3 gathers. So what do you suppose we can do? The reason why I didn't actually add another gather right away is because the whole idea of that thread value. Of course, I could have produced another gather and that'll bump the thread value a little bit more, but I don't want to do it right away because I want to see the waves that are going to be coming next once I produce the 3 pieces that I really need, which was the generator unit, the military drone armory, and the defender. So what I'm going to do is actually I'm going to charge 2 generators from 1 gather. And this is how it's done. So first off, right now this generator, as I hover over it in wire mode, it says there is 0 power. This generator has 500 power. This generator at the bottom is connected to that gather. Now watch what happens when I take this generator and I remove the gather connection by clicking on the gather and then clicking the empty space or pressing enter or escape. So now I've removed it from that. This construct, this generator still has available power, 500. I'm going to take the new generator, connect it to the gather, connect it to the mainframe depository. I'm going to take the other generator, connect it to the mainframe depository. So what's happening here? So this generator, the one at the top, will provide enough power, but it will be generated. I should say it will be regenerated. The other generator, which also has available power, will fire it once and will not be able to be regenerated because it is not connected to the gather. So you can use one gather and produce multiple generators and charge each one. So this is a little way to get around adding too many constructs and sharing the power. So that was 500, 1000. Let's take this generator here and we'll include it. There's your 1500. And let's take the last one here and put it to that one also. So now we have 4 generators charging 1 depository. And what will that do? Well, you're going to see that we will be able to produce our military drone armory. We're going to go into industry mode, mainframe depository. We're going to queue up our military drone armory. I'm going to unpause it. And just to show you what's actually happening with power here, there are the 4 generators being charged. And there you go. And the one generator that was not connected to a gather does not get powered up again. So keep that in mind when you're working with generators. This is a really interesting way to share power. Great. So now in our storage containment unit, we have our military drone armory ready to go. And we're at cycle 34. So basically that's 4 cycles in from the last one. We will definitely have enough because we've been producing. So we have enough to build our next Defender drone to go out there and take on those RECOGs and the new ones that are going to come in a bit more advanced, because right now if we don't do much else, we're kind of stuck in a rut here, having new Defenders coming in, the enemy RECOGs coming in before we have a chance to take them out, and well, having a little freedom to navigate on the outside, because as long as those RECOGs are out there, we can't actually do much. So now we're going to place that military drone armory in build mode. Depositories. There it is, military drone armory. All right, that's a nice one. What is happening now? Where do we get the pieces to build the Defenders? Now, where are the pieces now? Right now, the pieces are in this storage. So how could it work that we can get those pieces through this depository? The same way that we have generators and gathers, those depositories are grabbing from here. So what are we going to do? Well, we're not producing any walls right now. So what we can do is we'll remove the wall factory, the wall depository, and we'll put this one in its place. Most probably I'm going to be using a new generator unit or a gather unit in the near future as opposed to walls, because as we can see what's going on above, no, they're not actually attacking anywhere outside right now. We have those walls that are taking care of it, the structural barriers. So I'm actually going to cancel this right now. I'm going to remove this wall depot, this structural barrier depot, and I will replace it with that military drone armory. So to remove, we're going to go into build mode. We're going to go into commands, deconstruct, click on the wall, unpause, pause right away, excavate mode, collect. Where does it go? It put it in a storage. So there it is. It's in this one over here. Now it doesn't really matter if it's where it's placed, because as soon as we need it again, the unit knows exactly where to go. It'll grab it and place it where it wants to. So now we have a cleared space here. We're going to go into build mode, military drone armory, and we're going to place it right in there. Now later on, as this grows, we don't always need to be connected to this core industry. As you can see, I started something over here, which I will be using later on. So you can have two different mini industries that are connected at some point, or like I'm doing here, you can combine them together. as you see it, as you wish, and as you explore. So I'll unpause. And there it's produced. Great. So the interesting thing about this one is you do not need a storage. These are flying vehicles, so they're going to come out straight through. If you want to store them, yes, you could add a storage in the front and they will go to the storage, but not necessarily at this point. Basically, they're going to come out and fly right where they need to. So we're going to go into industry mode and we're going to queue our defender. There's a defender, it's 337, which means one generator is enough. Now, of course, without power, nothing is going to happen. And you can see we don't have any power connected to it yet, but I queued it, which will work just the same. I'm going to close that. I'm going to go into wire mode, and we're going to grab one of our generators, and we'll connect it. And we're going to go into our military drone armory, and we're going to connect the directional links. So we have output into space. You see where it says space? That's fine. Input, we are going to choose the storage containment where it's coming from, the assembly depot. And let's unpause that. And there it goes. And you saw what happened. What just happened? So did you see what actually, as soon as it was produced, it had a task. It knew exactly what's necessary. It's going out there to join the fight. So let's follow it. Oh, let's follow. And there it goes right away to join the fight. And now it's in waiting. So what are we going to do at this point? We are going to clear a bit more of the space so that it also has room to fly and to grow. But I'm going to do it. I'm not going to break this one. If I do, then I'm going to have another breach from the top, and they have another way of getting in. I need to figure out a way so that I have visual without having to break too much of my industry. So we have another block over here. Undoing that one will give access to that defender at the top. So that means we need to bring our excavation team right in here. And there he goes. It's in waiting. Let's do the top view. Let's take our management mode, and we're going to have to move him out of the way. So this one is in the way. And there it is, very quickly. Now we got to get those utility drones out of the way as fast as possible. We do not want them to be damaged. With our utility drones, we have an interesting tool here, an interesting command. We can retreat. So the retreat button is an interesting one because with the retreat button, we can actually have them go to a specific place as soon as we click retreat. And even in our utility drone utilities, we have retreat all. So if we set it up now, they will go to the retreat location. If we don't set anything up, if we don't set a retreat, their automatic protocol is to send them back to the mainframe depository. So there they go, right away to mainframe depository. And that clears up this space. And we're going to bring our defender. And that defender's already in the right spot. That one's halted, that one is moving. Let's bring them to location, halt and halt. And now we have 3 defenders all engaged. There are 2 being hit, but there are actually 3 engaged. You can see there he's firing as well. So that should take him out a little bit faster. And there it is. So it's paused automatically, and we have a new defender coming out. Let's see what we get. This is based on the previous calculation, because this wave had already been calculated, if you recall, on cycle 30. So we had 5 cycles ahead of the game to get advanced. We'll see what happens on the next cycle, because now we have all these new pieces. But for now, let's see what we get out of this one. And it looks like 1 defender. Now, 1 defender. Last time we had 2. So what is possible? Oh, actually, there it is, another one in the background. I didn't see that one. But what would have been possible, and even now what is possible, is that perhaps these are have an extra class to them, so a more advanced class, and perhaps they have some gears or some extra little skills, some things that are a bit more advanced than we had. So that's always possible. We don't know, because we don't have the technology to make that happen, to see what's possible. So we will have this fight, and we're going to see what it takes. The nice thing about our setup now is we have the factory, the armory available. What I will do is I will queue more pieces. So I will not build everything necessary, but I will at least find the oids and minerals necessary to build more defenders. I will not build anything extra, because the moment I do that, the threat value will increase again. Oids and minerals are the least threatening, even though they do advance the threat, not too much. So I will basically prepare 1 or 2 extra defenders in waiting in the event that I do get overrun. So I'm going to let this run its course. There we go. And we'll see how long it takes to wipe these out. Because as soon as I'm able to do that, my next step will be to add the research and development depot to start being able to use all these fragments that are there. So we're going to unpause it. And here we go. Now it's a 3-on-1. Actually, no, it's not. It's a 1-on-1. Now, why? Because it looks like there's a lot of stuff in the way. So, paused. Utility drone. We're actually, not the utility drone. We're going to go into collect, and we're going to gather these pieces. So let's move our defenders out of the way. So, oh, they're actually gathering some already. So it looks like they're able to go around and gather some. They do have a distance, which allows them to gather some pieces. They don't have to be right next to it. And there they go. And we will actually move these defenders to make it somewhat a bit more available for them to get through. Let's move. Oh, and what happened here? So actually we moved our pieces and it allowed for the defender to get inside. So they're still holding off. We're going to move one in. We're going to move the other one over here, and we'll move the third one here. And we'll lock that in place. And we'll let them go. So the other defender is still in waiting, not doing any attacking. It's a 3-on-1 now. I'm going to pause and let's collect that last piece. Unpause. And what do we have? Actually, we can see that they had been promoted. So I've been using the toggles for a while, hiding some of the visuals just to make it a little less overwhelming for you guys. And the second toggle we can see here is actually their ranking. So they are ranked up. So that's interesting for them. If we click on the military unit, we can see they just actually got their rank from that last kill. They are now a military class 3. So what is a military class 3? Let's show related stats between a class 4 and a class 3. No, it's not in there, sorry. It's in here. So this is our Defender Drone class 3, Defender Drone class 4. View detailed stats. So here's a little comparison. The original 25 regen HP is 25 seconds, and here went from 25 to 26.25. It doesn't seem like much, but truthfully, as you can see how tight this fight is, every little bit counts. Damage resistance 5%, now it went from 5 to 10%, so they got stronger. Laser rate was 0.8 seconds, now it's 0.76, a little bit faster. Critical chance was 0, now it's 5%, so there's a bit more chance that they can have an extra damaging chance. Regen skill was 100, and now it's 105%. So you can see these slight adjustments make a big difference. If our defender enemy was not the next rank, then it would make sense why it would be faster. Why didn't the third defender get it? Each defender, this third one actually just came in, right? This is the one that I just created. So let's pause that. So this is the one I just created. Each defender will gain the XP as long as they've hit the enemy at least once. So great. And we've managed to kill off the wave before the next one with 3 cycles left. So you can see we've just gained a little bit of an advantage by doing that. By adding the third defender, we've bumped up our advantage again. So the next wave that's going to come will be recalculated based on our new adjustments, and we might lose that advantage again. So here is the balance, this very delicate balance between adding the defenders or adding constructs at a specific time, and observing the enemy and seeing what is coming. So as you can see, I didn't go too overwhelming. I wanted to see what was coming along the way, and based on what came, I was able to reevaluate and make new decisions. This is really important when you're playing this game, is that you must always be reevaluating and thinking about new decisions and new changes in order for it to work properly. And as you saw what I did here, when the defenders were, when I brought the new one in, I had to make a new space available to it. Now I was very careful because I realized there was a hole up here. If I had excavated these two, I would have had a second breach, and for sure that other defender that was waiting in line would have made its way around, gone right down, and then it would have been a 3-on-2 instead of 3-on-1, and that would have changed the whole game. So what can we learn from the experience that we just went through right now? Timing about our producing, combining all our industry elements at one time to maximize our advantage with our cycles. Again, 9 to 14 seems like a lot, but not too much when we're really trying to make things work here. So it actually didn't take too many cycles for me to do that, but you can see it was pretty. I have 3 cycles left to perhaps have another wave. It might not come at 9, but it might. When I was doing my excavation, you saw I created a new tunnel to grab what I needed inside. I did not expose the utility drones to the outside. They would have surely been picked off very quickly. These are very fragile pieces. They're very vulnerable pieces, and I don't have a unit depot to build more units. So I really don't want to lose these guys. All right, I'm going to be producing next the R&D depot. If you feel that you are a little unsure that if you lose one, you can build more of your units, then go ahead and build another unit depot. No matter what you do, that threat is going to grow. So you always have to be prepared. All right, so I'm going to leave you with this video. And on the next video, we're going to continue with our industry, the R&D depot, and unlocking for some future pieces like the scanning, upgrading our scanning of what the enemy has to offer, and as I mentioned, some of the smaller upgrades like the generator extensions and so on.